Welcome to the Darkstream, Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Welcome to the reprehensibles and to the bears. I wasn't going to stream tonight. I was actually busy with a few things, running around back and forth and dealing with some stuff. But people have been talking about how there's going to be this great wave of conservative purges, that everybody to the right of Hillary Clinton is going to be have their channel purged, etc., etc. And the fact of the matter is, it's something that people should take seriously. It's a rumor, a possibility that they should take seriously. But I am personally extremely skeptical about it. That's not because I'm an optimist. That's not because I'm attempting to white pill anyone. I am simply pointing out that YouTube has no reason or need to wait until December 10th. And the changes that they made to the policy are not really that substantial. And the fact that they can do it as per their sole discretion is pretty much the identical language that's used by most social media companies. And if you look at their past behavior, the previous language, or the current language now, is it says that they have to, in their own opinion, view the channel as being economically unfeasible, or something to that effect. And so we all know about these supposed insider things. Many, if not most of them, are false. When you look at, I'll give you an example. When we had our situation, when we were facing an actual deplatforming situation, one of the things that we looked into was a public statement made about a insider from the company that had deplatformed us. So we knew all about that. But as we looked into it, I finally managed to make contact with the individual who had made that claim, and it turned out that there was no there. They had simply reached a fairly logical conclusion that turned out to be largely correct. But there was no actual basis in fact. They had no inside information. There was no insider. I would have been a lot more impressed, or I would have been a lot more, and I would be more inclined to believe that there is a scheduled purge coming if it wasn't happening on the date that everybody was freaking out about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Don't forget, people were all getting worked up about this from the moment that the new terms of use were announced, and it was said that they were going to be become effective on December 10th. So the minute that I heard, an insider says that this is going to happen on December 10th, I'm not saying that it won't. I'm not saying that it's not correct to get prepared for this if you're not already prepared for it. But from my perspective, this is something that we've been prepared for all year. This is why we created Unauthorized in the first place. With regards to live streaming, we have multiple options. which are we going to utilize? I don't know. I haven't decided. We will decide when the time comes, but you can rest assured that we always have plan A, plan B, and at least plan C. And so, I've reached a mutually distrustful relationship with Google. They're not my biggest fans. I'm not their biggest fans, but we generally, leave each other alone for the most part. They already know that my backup blogs are up and running and are updated. So they have the search engines. They find everything. They know where everything is. So I suspect that they've concluded, what's the point? Remember, the reason that they deplatform people is for two reasons. The number one reason is that they want to hurt you. They want to harm you. And that's the main way that they do it. The second way that they do it, or the second reason that they do it, is because they have come under pressure usually from external SJWs. I mean, people talk about it as if, it's probably the government, the CIA, the Mossad, some shadowy government organization more secret than the NSA. But that usually isn't the case. And it's usually just because someone outside the organization has complained to someone inside the organization, or most often a swarm of them have 20, 30, whatever, or the ADL, whatever, stirs up a little swarm of people. They all call the internal SJWs, and they try to create this impression that, the whole American public is outraged. They're demanding this. It's total nonsense. Everybody knows this. It's total nonsense. But, corporate America is not particularly bright when it comes to PR. If you haven't noticed, they tend to be really bad at it. And so it's pretty easy for them to get convinced that they need to do something, especially if there's internal SJWs pushing the same thing. Yes, that is the Junior Classics right there. That's the 1958 edition. So, some people are very concerned about it. And like I said, the reason that most people are very concerned about this kind of stuff is because they don't prepare for it. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to take the time and effort to get backup structured and be ready. But we already have, keep this in mind. We're a book publishing company that was deplatformed from Amazon. And it didn't even slow us down for a second. And not only did we get put back on the Amazon platform within 18 hours, but we use that as confirmation of our original plan to not be dependent on them. We're so not dependent on them anymore that they're functionally irrelevant to our plans. We don't think about Amazon today when we're making our plans any more than we thought about Kobo or Smashwords 4 years ago. We still put our books, back then we still put our books for sale on Smashwords and Kobo. No reason not to. We'll still put our ebooks for sale at Amazon. We'll still let our print books be sold through Amazon. But it doesn't matter to us the way that it used to. It doesn't matter to us the way that it matters to people who sell 95% of their books through Amazon. And that's why when you look at what's going on here, it would be ideal to just be left alone to do our thing. But if we have to do something, we're prepared not just in terms of keeping operations going, but in terms of striking back legally and making sure that at the very least the rubble bounces. Will unauthorized have a live platform? We already have a live platform. We just don't use it right now. It doesn't make sense to utilize it right now. We already have an audio of Corporate Cancer that's out. It's already gone out to hundreds of people who support the replatforming on Patreon. I can give you the link right here. In fact, you get the ebook with it. It's going to be on Audible. It hasn't shown up on Audible yet. It just takes a while. But let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, if you want to get the audiobook, we have it in, it's actually in a higher quality MP4 format. There. Are the books Octavo? Well, which books? If you're talking about the Royal or the Junior Classics over there, that's what we call Demi-Octavo. And so we'll be printing them both in Demi-Octavo for traditional purposes as well as Royal Octavo because that's what people wanted. So, yeah, if you think about it, why would we not utilize whatever is there to be utilized and that we have a right to utilize? It's just one of the, becoming self-sustaining does not mean running away from the world. It means that if things go bad, you have the ability to maintain operations. Yeah, I believe, personally, I think that if there is a big YouTube purge on the 10th, that's going to be great for people like Owen, people like me. Welcome, Bear Ass. That's kind of funny. Did the Urban Collapse videos get removed? Yes. The guys are just too busy right now. They're not really, they weren't ready to commit to the kind of schedule that we need in order to offer a subscription for them. And so that it didn't make sense to continue that. We get along with them fine. I mean, I was talking to Piero, I think 2-3 days ago. We're getting their book out soon, hopefully. Let's see here. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how this all works. I don't talk about my wife. Come on, you know better than that. Can unauthorized purge handle a surge of interest from the purge creators? Yeah, of course, because we'll just tell most of them, no, we're not interested. Anyone who comes onto unauthorized has to be able to support themselves. And what that means is they have to bring in enough subscribers to make it worth the bandwidth cost. We're not trying to be everything to everyone. We're trying to be something that is high quality and productive. And so we're not, BitChute is there for people who just need a place to, I mean, BitChute is great. I love BitChute. But BitChute is not what we're doing. And so you shouldn't mistake it for that. We're not trying to be YouTube. We're trying to be something that's more akin to a, to a channel. You know what you're getting if you go on to ESPN. You know what you're getting if you go on to Comedy Central. You should have an idea what you're getting if you go on to unauthorized. Dave Stewart made a great review video on corporate cancer. Yeah, he did. I appreciated that. That was really good. Michael Myers, he said he just bought a few copies. Uh-oh, sounds like somebody's getting unconverged for Christmas. Looks like Jordan relapsed. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. What can you run a 400 meter in right now, do you think? Well, I'd prefer to do it on a mobility scooter, I think. Welcome, Stoic MTB. No, I would say, I'd probably run it in, based on the 200 that I ran, I would say probably 65. So very slow. No, I could do better. I could probably do it in 60 seconds. Will unauthorized have video game design classes in the future? Yeah, we might. I've still got all my old slides and stuff, but it's more of like a history of game design at this point because I'm not as up on the stuff over the last 4 years as I should be. Let's see. You have to get off the meth before you can relapse. That's funny. Oh, I see. It's just some gamma who's doing this thing. I thought that maybe the real Jordan Peterson had done something amusing. C'est la vie. Hey, we got another gamma. 734 people with nothing better to do than watch this self-proclaimed genius pitch his Darkstream unauthorized cult channel. Sad face. Just a correction before I ban you. I am not a genius, and I have repeatedly told people that there is no such thing as a genius level IQ. I do have what is commonly described as a genius level IQ, but genius is about unique human accomplishment. It's not about intelligence. It's definitely not about IQ. It's just not relevant. And so to say that I am a self-proclaimed genius is absolutely false. I mean, it's just blatantly lying. I mean, I've done game design streams occasionally here, dev streams, and they're not particularly popular. So anyhow, we'll see. Well, I mean, right now, I'm mostly focused on the book stuff. Right now. My primary focus is getting Castelia Deluxe launched. By the way, speaking of Castelia Deluxe, it's December now over here, and so if you sign up for Castelia Deluxe, or Castelia Library, there is a sign-up fee that is equal to the monthly fee because we need to keep everybody on the same release. So if you haven't signed up for Castelia Deluxe, but you want to get the first release, you've got two choices. Either you can sign up for Deluxe and you'll get a sign-up fee of $50 and you'll be charged the monthly subscription rate of $50. or you can wait till the book actually comes out and pay $125 for it if there's any left. So those are the two choices. Oh, the Kurgan's here. Buonasera. Do you think squats are the best compound lifts? I don't know. I don't do them very often. What with soccer and having injured my knee and so forth, I try to avoid them as much as possible. Where do all the gammas come from? There's a nearly infinite supply, so it's not. They're always going to be around. You've worked on, or does it come naturally? Hesitant, but obviously we're going to see more nationalism rising. We're probably going to see a fair amount of war, and I think that the fact that global warming is not happening and that global cooling is actually going to have more serious consequences than global warming ever was going to, is going to have a big effect on a lot of people. You know, I've been reading some worrying things about China, how they're dealing with the pork situation, why they're buying rice from the U.S. We'll have to see, but it's definitely a little bit it's definitely a little bit worrisome. It's not something to spiral about. It's not something to get freaked out about, but it's something to be aware of. SMC Goots, what is your what? I don't believe. Email me and show me that you are actually a subscriber, because I don't believe that you're paying for anything. We've heard. I've already explained why we decided not to do the live streaming directly on unauthorized, because we literally broke their model. The level of interest in my streams and Owen's streams is so high that it broke the standard model. And so, obviously you have to make adjustments. If we had wanted to, we could have, stood by our contracts and made things extremely difficult, if not impossible, for some of our partners. We didn't do that because we're not stupid and obnoxious like you. Nobody signed up for unauthorized in order to watch live streams there. Nobody did. They signed up because they wanted to watch our videos there, which is where they are. And they're also higher quality in a number of ways. Plus, there's also a bunch of additional content that is there only for subscribers. For example, there's 2 documentaries, one comedy special. We've got 2 more documentaries in the works, original documentaries. And there's also free audiobooks. There's all kinds of stuff up there. The Legend Chuck Dixon, medieval history. These are all things that you can only watch if you're an authorized subscriber. They're not on YouTube. They're not anywhere else. Smart Alec Production says, why are people upset about no live streaming? They're not. They're not upset about it at all. They're just gammas who are trying to stir up trouble. We took it seriously until we realized that people kept asking the same question over and over again. Do tech giants think silencing dissident voices will compensate for the public's near complete distrust of the media going into the election? Yes, they really do. We've had the chance to look inside the communication systems of a couple of these different companies, and they are more naive than you would ever imagine. Um, Vox, I hadn't. Yeah, oh, are you the guy who kept ran out? Yeah, I got the email, but it's Thanksgiving weekend, so we'll get around to it next week. Um, we'll make sure that you get the audiobook. Don't worry about it. Um, let's see here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we've got that mysterious moderator here again. Watch out. Um, Go Badgers. No, that's cruel. I mean, the funny thing is, Space Bunny and I were talking about it, and neither one of us had any confidence whatsoever in the Gophers winning these two games at the end of the season. Um, I attended Gophers games back when the last time, or the second to last time, they were vaguely good, and that was when Tony Dungy was the quarterback. They beat. I remember it was a big deal because they beat Michigan 16-6 or something like that. Um, I think that was like the last. That might have been the last time they beat Michigan. I, I was I was a little kid. I mean, they're just historically bad, epically bad. It's shameful. What happens when a gamma goes good? He becomes a delta. Do they become something else, or can they be two kinds of gamma? No, they become deltas. Remember, it's a behavioral pattern. If you actually manage to change your behavioral pattern, then obviously you have a new behavioral pattern. But it's the problem that people have with behavioral patterns is that the just like with quarterbacks that are taught new mechanics, people tend to revert under stress. So even if you do a good job of modifying your behavior and being honest and and really learning to behave more like a delta, the chance is that when you come under stress, you're going to revert, and you just have to be aware of that. Do you think the economic purge, he's talking about the December 10th theoretical purge, is a cover for a pre-2020 election removal of dissident viewpoints? It's possible, but I don't think so. I don't think they realize that 4chan and the alt-right did not get Trump elected. That was Richard Spencer's self-serving uh, explanation for things, and it just flat out wasn't true. Where is the ban hammer icon? That would be a great moderator icon. Well, they have specific. I think they have specific ones. Maybe I can change it. I'll have to look. Why do Ridgebacks like to bully Vishalas? They don't. They don't think they're bullying them. That's the thing. They um, they are just trying to play. The problem is Ridgebacks play really rough, and it's definitely alarming to the Vishalas. They take some while to get used to. But I have to say, the the little Ridgeback, who is now the big sister Ridgeback, uh, she's she's finally decided that she's taking to her little sister, and so it's really cute how they sleep together and play, and she's really good because in order to stay low enough for the puppy, she basically like either crouches or lies down just so the puppy can attack her. let's see here. December 9th, Inspector General's report comes out. Do you think the dates are related? No, I don't think so. I don't think it has anything to do with that. Can comic books hold as much value or intellectual weight as a classic novel? No, absolutely not. Take the very, very best, most highly regarded comic books ever written. Um, Watchmen, Mouse, the what is it, Sandman? They are trivially lightweight in comparison with even an average novel. If you actually read the novels that those comic book writers write, if you read Neil Gaiman, he's a functional novelist, but he's not even that good. And Alan Moore is a legitimately good, possibly even bordering on really good author if he had an editor. Whoever is his editor does not do enough editing. Jerusalem would have been a really good book if it had been about 30% shorter. There was a lot of unnecessary fat. Let's see here. Did most gammas have trauma in their lives or a lack of family structure? Could it just be protecting themselves from that loss? Not what you would call trauma. I mean, their behavior is a response to social trauma for the most part. Now, sometimes they also have the weight of familial abuse, not in the like serious sense, but just in the mild sense. But the main reason that gammas behave the way they do is because they are too narcissistic to accept the realities of the social situation in which they find themselves. How about if you put Don Quixote in a comic? It still wouldn't work as well because you can't because it's a visual medium. You have to substitute pictures for words, and so through using pictures rather than words, you are necessarily removing an imaginative and abstract element and replacing it with something simpler. So it's not possible to do a very intellectually sophisticated comic in the way that a novel would be. Yeah. Oh, Owen bans them so fast that I don't even see them. I haven't gotten to them yet. I was like, oh, okay, they're gone. Um, Sir Hamster's a little bit more circumspect, which is appropriate. Let's see here. How dare you? How dare you, Big Bear? The who was the greatest king of England? Alfred. Not even close. I mean, he's the one who helped the kingdom of Wessex survive and actually managed to defeat the Danes. Um, there was another king. I'm trying to remember. I just read this not six months ago, but um, there was another king. I think 3 or 4 generations after Alfred, who was also really good. Uh, Thinking deeply. Welcome. The clue is in the name. Yeah. As a general rule, if they call you the Great, that's a pretty good sign. Um, any thoughts on Ireland's situation? I didn't know there was an Ireland situation, other than they're, paused and immigrated and all that sort of thing. I think that would appeal to a very limited audience. Creative Bear thinks that we should make a video game where you can play as me or Owen and fight gammas. I would purchase that in a minute, in a heartbeat. Yeah, that you might be the only one. This would be kind of like the guy from 21 Pilots making up a candle, and the only person he'd sell it to is his brother. That amuses me. Oh, they recently legalized abortion. I mean, they're still on the wave. The overall that wave has peaked, but Ireland's always been behind. So they're behind on the pause, and they're behind on the peaking of the pause. But the pendulum's already swinging back. Abortion is going to be rendered illegal in most of the places that legalized it. Same thing with gay marriage and all that stuff. All of those things are going to become illegal again in the not too distant future. It's not going to take that long. The welcome Vegas Bear. Do a Doom mod. That would be hilarious. So, um, who would be the final level Gamma on this video game? That's a good question. I think that, I mean, if this was just my crowd, it would obviously be John Scalzi, the science fiction author, who has been the subject of repeated, shall we say, attention for a long time. I mean, it's hilarious. Towards the end of the year, Scalzi posts his blog numbers, his blog traffic numbers. And every year on January 1st, I post my blog numbers vis-a-vis his. And let me, it's amusing because see, the Gammas, the kind of people that come here and do their Gamma thing, they used to come to my blog. And this is back in 2013. And he had just signed a big contract, and they would go on and on about how his was the most important blog in science fiction, and everybody read his blog, and nobody cared about mine, and blah blah blah, just the usual stupid stuff. Anyhow, what was funny about this is that they all had the wrong impression because Scalzi had blatantly lied and exaggerated his blog traffic by a significant factor to the New York Times, as well as to a science fiction publication. So anyhow, let me see if I can find this. I, discovered that he was lying, and he actually did at the time have just slightly more blog traffic than I did, but over time, his blog declined heavily, and mine continued to grow, and so it was so every year I post the comparisons, and it's pretty amusing. Let me see if I can. Okay, so this is an old one. I don't know if I have anything. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So this is when I started keeping track of it. So the green one, whatever, was this Chief Gamma. Welcome, Andrea. This was his traffic dating versus the traffic on my blogs. At the time, I was running both Alpha Game and VP, and so they were all ragging on the Gammas. There were ragging on me back in 2012, and anyhow, you can see that Vox Populi had surpassed what was then known as the most, the biggest blog in science fiction was how it was often described, by the New York Times, by a lot of people in the industry. And so what was hilarious about this, I mean, just to put it in perspective, his blog traffic has continued to decline. It's now lower in 2019 than it was in 2009. Whereas VP alone, because I shut Alpha Game down, VP alone is now over 32 million annual page views. So, far from not being able to compete with that, the blog is literally 8 times bigger. So, anyhow, a lot of you who are reprehensibles and have come around in the unauthorized era, you're not even familiar. You don't even know who I'm talking about, and you don't know anything about the history with Scalzi. But for all of the Dread Ilk and the BFM, he's always going to be the king of gammas. But I think that with the Bears and with the reprehensibles, it would probably be Shapiro. Probably be Shapiro. Let's see here. Anyhow, it never. I mean, I've said, people have said, well, when are you gonna welcome Philip Ghost? They've said, when are you gonna stop? And I said, when it stops being funny, which is never. I mean, there's there's no way that, I mean, make sure that you use a platform that you can't be easily deplatformed from. And attacked what? I haven't. I used to get attacked by feminists back when I was writing my political column for WorldNet Daily, but they all pretty much faded away after 2005 or so. The Kurgan is right. I would say that the most fun that we had. I don't know though. Indiegogo is a lot of fun too. But yeah, I think just in terms of just the pure joy of wreaking havoc and the level of panic that it triggered, the whole burning down the Hugos for 2 straight years, that was hilarious. I mean, we literally, you can look it up. We had media attacking us from New Zealand to the US to London. I mean, everywhere. It was so funny. What video game genre is the most gamma? First person shooter? No. Stealth? No, I don't think so. I would guess. No, I can't say. My it would be something that isn't terribly competitive. So, is the Witcher series on Netflix going to be any good? No, no chance. Is there a list of your library books somewhere? No. Definitely not. Leon says, hey Vox, appreciate and respect your work or what I know of it. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the Play Unknown's Battleground? I haven't really been playing on them at all, so I don't really have any thoughts on them. I've tended to stay away. I've tended to stay away from networked gaming ever since Battlefield. And I also really liked Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which I played through like Elite 70 twice. But I just got so disgusted with the whole run around and run around like a chicken with your head cut off that I'd lost interest in that. Hentai games. That's probably right. Um, Freaking flies. You think they'd be dead by now? Um, so, I mean, Battlefield 4 was had a lot of good elements, but you could see the rot starting to set in, and Battlefield 5 was when you're just like, why even bother? So, I didn't really like Crisis that much. Why are you all talking about toy games? Because I'm a game designer. If you don't think games are something for adults to do, you're totally in. I mean, this is one of the worst places you could possibly be. Yeah, Battlefield 1942 was probably. Oh, I'm not a star of games, not at all. I'm a pretty minor figure, but I am an old school figure. So let's see. Yes, I play chess. I'm not particularly good at it, but I'm competent. So, all right. Well, we're just. Let me make sure that I haven't missed any super chats, and then I'll just repeat two things. Um, on the Castelia Deluxe, remember that you have to pay for both months on the even months. So don't be surprised when it says it very clearly, but there's a sign up fee plus the monthly subscription. That keeps you that catches you up with all the people who subscribed in November. So that's what's going on there. Um, and let me just hit the super chats. Okay, Berserker sent $2. Thank you. We talked about the 2020s. Garen Bear says, Gamma's heavy stream tonight, how lonely they are. I don't think it's loneliness. I think it's just the need for attention. And Mike Underwood says, check out Russian made Escape from Tarkov. Okay. Sounds interesting. And that should do it for tonight. So have a good evening. We'll look forward to seeing you the next time. And this is the Darkstream. I'm Vox Day.